Are you in the NFC? Or do you want me to send you an invite?
He said I don't need to be in there.
Sure.
It won't let me see. I don't have a recap screen here. Guess I'll just have to go.
It's weird. I don't have one either.
All right.
What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty here with Bill and Rob for the weekly RFL podcast. Of course, doing a recap of the RFL draft. What an amazing first live draft we had. Just before we start this, man, what was you guys' thoughts on the draft, man? How'd y'all feel after draft day was over, too? Because I know that was a huge relief as well.
Yeah, that was a very fun draft, but man, that took a toll after a while.
Oh yeah, it got really long. And obviously, we'll have to find a way to condense that down for next year. But yeah, man, I actually enjoyed it. The main experience, other than obviously being a coach, is just to watch other people who we work for, watch them have fun and watching the community feel engaged. So that was a big deal for me, man. Just seeing the numbers fluctuate, obviously 135 the first day, 95 the next day, and still like 55, 60 strong, almost 70 strong on the third day. I thought that that was pretty awesome. And even down to the last hour, we still had 35 strong, which is our dedicated crew, man. So yeah, man, lead first.
Yeah, man, it was a great draft, that's for sure. A lot of great talent. And of course, you already know we're going to be recapping the draft here on this. I don't have any graphics for this. I just have, of course, this thumbnail so we could be here. But I'm actually going to be in the file, as you can see here, and just going to be going through the recap of each team. So we're just going to start, look at the players, and then just discuss, who we like that they picked. Maybe some people they probably shouldn't have picked in early rounds, and just pretty much giving them a grade of how we felt they did in the draft. So let's go ahead and start in the ARC file, and let's get a view at this. So we're going to go in alphabetical order here. So first we start off with the Armadillos. So the Armadillos, we get a look at who they first round they pick Joshua Moore out of UCLA, 76 overall. The second round they pick up Jacob Kane, 74 overall out of Oklahoma at free safety. Then they go Calvin Carr, 62 strong safety. And they got Justin Moffitt, 63 center. Got a left guard and Brackett, who was a 67. Shaquille Vick out of Washington, who was a 63. And Eugene Long in the 7th with 58 overall. So looking at this draft, what you guys think about how the Armadillos did?
Me to carry or you?
Either one, man. I don't really have a whole lot with this one. Unfortunately, like Moore and Kane are some solid picks that they got. I just don't know if any of them are gonna technically start this year. Mm-hmm. They do have some veterans in place on free safety. Heaney is there, unless Kane makes a move to the strong safety, which I really don't think it fits him. I do think that him and Moore have the opportunity to start maybe next year, but it's definitely, I don't think it's going to be this year. Overall, though, a good draft class.
Yeah, this team was bottom 25 as far as defense this year, averaging 25, giving up 25 points a game at 23. And so I thought that the move to go defense first was a great move for them. I think that, while maybe these guys may not be instant starters here, there's some good guys here that are ready to take the load and come in with some excitement. You kind of always want to get energized and stuff. And obviously the veterans that they have on the team just have not been getting the job done. So I thought it was a good idea to go defense in the first. Obviously a couple of rounds here. Kane was a remarkable player, definitely going to be a spotlight here, and obviously Joshua Moore is a solid at 76 overall. So yeah, I thought that the couple of pickups on defense were good for the team, being that they had by stats wise they had a top 5 offense last year. Close to 400 yards a game averaging, and over 100 yards rushing on the ground per game. So the offense seemed to be consistent. They just couldn't stop anybody. So yeah, I thought it was a great pickup in the first couple of rounds here. So yeah, that's my take.
2 solid picks, and like Bill, agree with him. These guys aren't going to start most likely off the gate, but I do feel like they will start next year. Of course, we already know what happened with Moore being picked in the first round, the Armadillos having to have their pick simmed. Honestly, I wouldn't have gone with Moore for the Armadillos with that pick, but things happen, and Moore, I mean, even though he probably would have been better off somewhere else, he's still going to have that opportunity, I believe, still to play by next year. But this year might not be that case. We got Zachary Dombrowski at the middle linebacker position over there. He's definitely got some time still left in him, so I don't see him starting there. And on the outside, they got pretty young guys who are already a higher overall as well compared to Moore. But I guess he'll be learning behind Moore. And of course, they already had Michael Kelly at that position as well, and so it's going to be. It's kind of tough for for Joshua Moore to figure out where he's going to go, if he's going to really be able to play a lot there, or if he's going to do any time. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but with Jacob Kane, he's a guy I think he's definitely going to see some playing time by next year. They got an older guy already there, 30 years old, and he's a little bit higher than him in terms of overall, but I think by next year Kane might be able to overtake him and take that spot. So that was a good pick right there. As for everyone else, of course, developmental players. All right, next up we got the Columbus Aviators on how they did in the draft. This was a team that only won 1 game last season, and they started out with a big splash in the draft. The first round pick, they went with Marquise Washington, 84 overall quarterback, and then in the second they got him some protection with Thomas Tennant, 72 overall center out of Michigan. Then they went and got him a little bit of a weapon here with Jermichael Worland. We already know that they're struggling a little bit in the receiving section with smaller receivers who are just aging. And so they get a younger guy here, not the best of overall, 65 out of Texas, but he's got some height on him. He was pretty good there in Texas. And then in the fourth, Adonis Vasher. He got Trent Dillinger. He was in the college series out of Wisconsin, 64 overall. Then Amari Best was in the series as well for Penn State at D tackle at 63. And then Evan Cotton was the 7th round pick with a 53 overall. So looking at this draft class for the Aviators, what do you guys rate the Aviators here with this one?
It's got to be an A plus just because of their first round pick. Any team, whoever drafted Gannon in Washington is going to get an automatic A plus just because those are franchise changers. For the most part, the other guys that they brought in, not really going to do a whole lot for him. Tennant will help out on the offensive line. He won't be a starter probably to go off the bat, but the fact that Washington is there just shows that this team has a future, and they just now need to build upon what they started this year.
Yeah, this pick, I am going to just go out on the limb here. Obviously, I disagree kind of with this pick here. I understand that Marquise Washington is a great player, and any team would want to get him. And I understand why teams, just go after talent. Obviously, in the first round, this is the 2nd overall pick, so they're just trying to land the best player. But one thing I've looked at is Russell Renez, and we've looked at Russell Renez's numbers. This is a great quarterback, man. I've said this over and over again. A lot of people don't know that he's super fast, and he's deadly with the arm. And I think that he just hasn't been put into a position to be successful yet in the schemes. No offense to the previous coaches that were here and off and on, but he never was really put into a style that actually fits himself. And so I didn't think that Russell Renez is a quarterback that needs to definitely be replaced right now. He's only 28 years of age, and I feel that he just hadn't had a coach yet. And so I thought that this team is just so stacked in other areas. Obviously, just looking at the halfbacks that they have. I mean, a dual-headed monster in the backfield. I thought that they had potential to possibly go receiver here. Maybe Scruggs would have been a great pickup here. With the aging wide receivers, and even looking at the defense here. The D line, I thought they're fine on the defensive ends here. The defensive line, in my opinion, the interior of the defensive line, could have used another guy with Pierre there, or even possibly going and looking at the D backs, as well. They do have Mayberry, and they have Rudolph, but I thought that there's other areas of improvement where they just would have been all the way stacked, and so I kind of felt like. Maybe they pulled the gun on Marquise, just to pull the gun, but maybe they could have given Renez some more time here, while they got another solid player, possibly either in the wide receiver core or even on the defense. So that's just my take there. But hey, man, teams take talent all the time, and so that's what they did there.
Yeah, and two good, really, perspectives on the team. And I do agree with you, Rob, in terms of the quarterback. Russell Rennes, I think his play was better than what we seen last season. But in terms of me agreeing with them not pulling on Washington, I do feel like Washington, it's a once in a lifetime that you were going to find quarterbacks like Geno and Washington in the draft. And his age, yeah, he may not be the oldest guy. He's 28, but technically at that time you start to regress. And with a guy like this, even though he wasn't put in the best system, I feel Marquise Washington was the great choice for them to just already plug him in. And, I think that, it sucked for Rennes, but at least he's going to be a guy who most likely is going to be a solid backup. He could still be a starter, but I doubt whoever comes in here is not going to go with Marquise Washington, seeing as though he's younger and he has one overall higher. But, Russell Rennes, I think this was a guy who needed to have some type of replacement, and why not get that big-time playmaker, that you probably won't see at that quarterback position for years to come. And so I thought it was a great addition. In terms of the rest of the draft, I thought it was pretty decent. The center, he's not going to start, like Bill said. I don't think he'll start, but he's pretty close up there in terms of overall. And so I feel like he might be able to start elsewhere on that line, wherever they're weak, or at least be a good, solid backup. And then for the rest of the guys, these are just developmental guys. So I feel like it was a pretty solid draft for the Aviators. And just can't wait to see, what Marquise Washington's going to do there, and what they're going to be like with a coach there. Even I doubt he's going to see some playing time with JaMychal Rowland. Maybe he could be a guy, touch the field a few times, see what he could do. He was good in Texas. May got some traits that could help him out as well. It's pretty decent in terms of speed and stuff, but pretty decent draft, I guess I'd have to say, for the Aviators. Moving on, we had the Oklahoma City Bisons in Coach Long here. Their first round pick, they come up with a generic cornerback, Sharif Underwood, 77 overall in the first round. Then they follow up with Tristan Price out of West Virginia, 74 overall running back. And he was an explosive back, and we already know about their backfield situation a little bit. Then in the second again, they went with Patrick Bradfield, 69 overall defensive end. Then in the fourth, they went with Pearson Hackett, 67 overall cornerback. Ronell Best at middle linebacker at 65. And then we had Raheem McCann, a wide receiver, on the fourth. So they had four round picks in, no, 3 4th round picks, and then they didn't have a 7th, but they had a 6 here, and selecting Lincoln Metcalf, 58 overall out of Oklahoma. So thoughts on this class for the Bisons?
I love the class that they brought in. I love Tristan Price. He was on my board as well. Sharif Underwood is a guy that's going to help them, in the future. He's not, again, a lot of these guys aren't going to get a shot to start right away, but that's not exactly a bad thing. The Bisons just have a lot of good corners right now with Sinclair, Brockers, Childers. So there might not be a spot for him in the top 2, top 3 for the depth chart right now, but he's going to be a guy they can rely on in the future as Sinclair gets older and maybe some of these other contracts run out. As for Price, that's a guy that could come in right away on rotational, situational, plays and get carries right out of the gate for him. And same with Bradfield. He's not the highest overall, but they have some older guys in the D line that I think that he could be a situational pass rusher for them to be able to get some momentum building up in his rookie season. Overall, I think it was a solid draft class. They still came away with solid picks, even though they traded out of the top 5, which I myself don't agree with, especially after we saw how these players were overall rated coming out of the draft in the top 5. But to still be able to come up with a 77, a 74, and then a decent 69 with trading away that capital, I think was a good haul for them.
Yeah, I'm really liking what the Bisons have done. When I'm looking at their draft, I'm not just looking at just the specific draft here. I'm looking at everything that Coach Ethan Long has been able to do since offseason, really. I thought that he really set himself up, to not only relieve some of that cap room with the loss of Sinclair there, or the trade with Sinclair, to free up cap room on his team, but also he was able to add a bunch of just young, talented guys on the defense here. And I think that he's going to be able to utilize a lot of undervalued guys who are going to be stud playmakers on his defense. Obviously here, reached all the way down. Sharif Underwood, no one had him on his board, not even you, Jacob. No one knew about this guy here, I don't think. And I thought that was just an awesome pick by him in the first round. And it fills that little bit of spot, the little loss, obviously, of the DB there. Hey, I'm all for halfback battles. I love a dual back system. I think that Price is going to be an excellent player for the Bisons. I think that Price is going to become the feature back, and that Jay Morris is going to become that role player in some other formations, which means he's going to be able to be in the game an awful lot and be able to make first downs on the outside as a utility back and do what he does without having to take handoffs. And so I'm really happy about these first 2 picks, especially acquiring Tristan Price, who we knew this guy had some upward swag in the college series, but he was just obviously on the wrong team and in the wrong system and sharing carries and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting watching the Bisons this year with the newly assembled guys. I got to give them an A on this one, man. Love it.
Yeah, I really like their draft, and they found some gems, as you could see from me displaying the player cards. They found quite a few guys with some hidden dev. So these guys could be some playmakers in the future here, even down to Ronell Best in their later round being a hidden dev guy. So, that says a lot. The last 2 rounds they pulled 50s with McCann and Metcalf. But, hey, that's not the last 2 rounds, the last 2 picks that they had. But those first few picks were pretty solid, even down to Patrick Bradfield. You've seen here, he didn't have a dev on him, normal dev, but, 69 coming in as a rookie, not bad at all. Maybe he could see some playing time. One thing about the Oklahoma City Bisons where they really struggled at was pass rush, and maybe he's not going to help add to that to make them any better. But, they've already acquired some weapons and from free agency that can help them out a little bit with that. They've definitely gotten some veteran linebackers to help them out in that front 7. And so, and they've made their cornerback room a little bit strong despite getting rid of Sinclair, with pulling a guy, like you said, that no one pretty much had on their draft board with Sharif Underwood out of SMU. I didn't expect, of course I knew, but, I didn't think anybody was going to pull the trigger on Underwood in that first round. And Sharif Underwood ends up being a Bison. I think it was, it had to have been great scouting by Coach Long, and he was able to get a great guy to fit and help out his team on that defensive side of the ball, which really struggled last year. So I give him a nice grade on this as well with an A. So next up, we got the Black Knights. And the London Black Knights, they started off, they definitely needed help on their defensive side of the ball at the linebackers. They pretty much had no linebackers. And so they went in the first round and picked up Roland Carter out of UCF, a 73 overall linebacker, was a tackling machine there. Then in the second, Hunter Gregg out of Notre Dame, 70 overall. And then they went and got Craig Hopkins in the third, 66 cornerback. Then Tyrus Grant in the fourth, 65 cornerback. Then they needed a quarterback, of course, to try to build up a little bit to mold Holden Wolf, and so they went and pulled Tyler Miller out of Oklahoma, 65 overall quarterback. And in the sixth round, they get Malcolm Riley, 58 overall linebacker, and finish with Calvin Jackson out of Delaware, a 59 overall receiver. So thoughts on this class for the Black Knights?
Well, this one wasn't as flashy as some of the drafts that we saw other teams pull. Roland Carter, the first round pick, he might get a shot at starting right out the gate, but most of the guys here are a lot more role players, which was expected because, I mean, it's not like the Black Knights were a team that was just a bottom tier team. They just had some bad luck and they sort of lost some steam halfway through the season, but they have solid players around. I mean, obviously you'd like to have them pull one player better, in the 70s than what they did. But in a draft like this, you're not going to have that kind of ability to do so. And I mean, a lot of role players, a lot of developmental guys, and hopefully they can just stick with a lot of the veterans they have already had and they can learn from them, because these guys definitely aren't plug and play from day one.
Roland Carr is obviously the hidden dev you can see right there. This guy is definitely going to be a stud. Don't be fooled by him. He will definitely be a starter. I can see this right here. He's definitely like the second best linebacker that they have on their team right now. Another thing about this team, man, which people don't know because they don't have a coach, is that they were actually top 10 in rushing yards against the rush this year at 8th. In the ARC, and maybe a little bit closer if we're looking if the other league teams are in between those numbers there. But the team was definitely giving up fewer than 100 yards on the ground rushing. Man, this is a run stopper, as you can see right here. So even if the London Black Knights are terrible, just having this guy in the game playing all those downs, getting past 500 plays. This guy is going to make an immediate impact. I think that with progression. With a solid coach putting this guy on that progression chart, this is going to just bolster their defense up, a little bit more here. I think that was definitely a solid pick there. Obviously, I saw Hunter Gregg as well. We saw Hunter Gregg make some nice plays in his college series as well. So that's just one of those sneaky good, in my opinion, guys here, slot guy that's gonna make a name for himself. As well. So, a good couple of rounds there. I'm not going to really analyze the later rounds here. I thought that the later rounds are just full of filler, in my opinion, but definitely got a starting middle linebacker here who's going to really make some ruckus as he begins to develop. And you got a solid wide receiver as well, man. So solid pick by the Black Knights.
Yeah, it wasn't, like Bill said, a flashy draft, and I agree with you there with your take on this draft class as well, Rob, with the fact that, I do feel like Roland Carter is definitely going to be a great addition for the defense. Yeah. They didn't have any linebackers there, and as you pointed out with the star hidden dev, I mean, that's really going to help them out as well. And I just can't wait to see what he does for that defense, because I do think he's going to be that linebacker that's going to be out there in all downs, making a lot of plays, and he's just going to continue to get better and better, and that overall is just going to continue to increase. So it may be a 73 now, but if he's constantly getting reps on the field, making plays, I think that this kid's going to be something by the end of the season, could jump up 3 or more overalls. So I mean, that's a big addition there, especially with a guy who we saw some of his statistics once again, just to get a look at that again. He's got really good speed on him as a linebacker, 86, got 83 tackling. That's great for a rookie coming in. Hit power is pretty decent. Like you said, he's a tackling machine. You can see it's got great awareness as a rookie, 79. May not be the best in terms of coverage, but hey, speed kind of helps you out with that. Pretty decent in terms of strength. So, I mean, I do feel like he's going to be an immediate impact type of guy for the Black Knights. But like Bill said, everyone else, not really. Hunter Greggs, I think he's going to be a guy who's he's not necessarily going to start. I think he might see a couple of reps on the field, but he's going to be a player that eventually I feel will see more reps, especially the year after, seeing as though they have older receivers currently right now. So it may not have been, like Bill said, the flashiest of a draft class, but a decent one where they brought in some guys.
I just want to bring to the attention too, man. The Black Knights. I know the record wasn't what people expected, but they played a lot of close games, man, against teams, and some coaches as well. The only team that really handled them were the Celtic Tigers. But they were like within like 10 points or less of every game that they actually played against user coaches this season. So like literally a touchdown separated them. So this is definitely a team I can see when someone gets their hands on, they're going to be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, and I went on Hunter Gregg because this is actually not his height. So he's not 6'3", 224. That's something I forgot to edit in the class. He's actually 5'9".
Yeah, 5'9". I thought he's a flat guy.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to be. So he's going to be edited. That was a mistake. But still, overall and everything, the stats, they are the same. But a pretty decent draft class there for the Black Knights. Next up, hey, we got the draft king, man. He's claiming himself the draft king. Hey, he started out pretty hot. First round, we already knew he's going to be the number one guy off the board for the Bulldogs. And Coach Reed went and pulled Drew Brewer, 84 overall defensive end. And he was tied with the highest overall in the class, along with Marquise Washington at 84 overall, as I mentioned. There's just their second pick in the first round. They went and got Shaquille Tiller out of Virginia Tech, who was the second best cover corner in the league in terms of in the college series in terms of overall. He's a 79 overall. That helps on their defensive side of the ball once again. And then with their final pick in the first round, having three of those, they went and got Reggie Streeter at the tight end position. They already had a pretty good tight end class, but they add to it here with Reggie Streeter at an 80 overall out of Texas, vertical threat style tight end. They didn't have a second, but they had a third, and they still went and pulled a pretty good gem here with Christian Nash, running back out of Kansas State, 72 overall. And then, of course, they didn't have any picks for the next rounds until the 6th, and they got a 54 overall with wide receiver Denard Peppers, and finished with a guy that we thought he was going to pull that 70. He said he was going to pull the 70. He got close to it, he said, but he got a 65 in the cornerback, Deion Russell. But what's your guys' thoughts on the Bulldogs draft?
I mean, from the start of the draft, we knew that the Bulldogs went full force in the top end of the draft, and then it proved to be a good scenario for them because they pulled Drew Brewer, who was, aside from Gannon and Washington, are right there as the top player in this draft. Come back, they get Tiller, another great pickup, and then Streeter just fell right into their lap at 20. So first round doesn't go any better than that for a team if you have 3 first-round picks. I also really like the Christian Nash pickup. I was high on him, and I think he could be an immediate role player for them, along with Matt Wheaton, with Wheaton as a 1-2 punch. So I believe that the first round and the third round, excellent for the Bulldogs. After that, I mean, it was the late rounds, and we all know that it's just developmental guys and practice squad hopefuls at that point. But great first round, and definitely got younger and better across the board at every position they drafted in the first round. So I can't wait to see what they do this year.
Yeah, man. If this is not the best draft in the league, then it's got to be the best draft in the ARC. Salute to Coach Reed with this one here. I mean, these are just clearly just 4 rounds of just studs, as you just pointed out there, Smitty. Who cares about the 70s when you got Drew Brewer, the most imposing defensive end in the series, and arguably the best player in the draft. And then, Shaquille Tiller. I mean, we saw what this guy did at Virginia Tech. I'm actually a little shocked that he only has 72 hands, Commissioner. But hey, I'll take it. 72 on him. I'll take it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this guy was an interception machine. Big shout out to all the other cornerbacks, man. This guy actually worked hard, worked for it. On a team that was not that great, and not to say the other teams were greater than his, but he really is a great cornerback here, man. And actually, Smitty, you were like I remember like clearly you saying, "Hey, Rob, man, you been watching the Virginia Tech games, man? They got a guy over there, man. This guy's getting like 4 interceptions a game, man." So I went back and watched the guy's stats. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but yeah, he was a machine. And so I thought this was a really, really great draft for Coach. Obviously, Reggie Streeter, man, is a friend of mine. I'm going to boost him up any old way. This is just a great community guy, man. Same thing with Brewer as well. But Streeter, is just a great guy. And I was really happy that he was able to take the tight end in Streeter. That's definitely going to help. Going to help his, Timmy Merritt obviously have another weapon. And he gets a great community guy of it. He gets a stud, 80 overall. This guy's going to be a monster. He's only 20 years of age. Yeah, man. Just a great draft, man. Overall, for Coach Reed, really liking what he's doing with the Bulldogs there, and hopefully he's able to continue his journey here as one of our younger head coaches here, man.
Yeah, the Bulldogs, like you said, if not the best draft this season in the RFL, definitely the best in the ARC. Drew Brewer, even if he didn't get anybody else after that, already he's up to about an A on the draft. So, then the fact that he was able to pull more 70s, even looking at currently the player I'm on, Christian Nash, to pull him with their 4th pick total in the draft. This guy, and Bill brought up how Wheaton and him could be a 1-2 punch, but we're also forgetting that Vic Cage is also on this team. So their running back field is stacked right now.
Yeah.
So that is just crazy to think about. The run game, we already know what the we knew what the situation was with Wheaton. He was a great running back, but he was slow, and Vic Cage came and pulled in, and then I just went up to look at the core attributes again, just to look at the speed, and look at this. Got Vic Cage with some speed. He's got 98 speed. His acceleration is a little slow, I believe, at 85. And then you got Christian Nash coming in with 94 speed, 89 acceleration. So they got 3 change of pace style of backs,
right?
All of them can put on moves, even Wheaton. So that's a dangerous backfield, to be honest. May not be high overalls, but they got some playmakers. And of course, Reggie Streeter at tight end already had McDonald there at tight end, and then they boost up with Shaquille Tiller at the cornerback position. They got a lot of older guys who are phasing out, like Carlos Gint. They still got him on the squad, but he's going to be out there with a veteran like Carlos Gint making plays. And like you said, he was an interception machine in college. And I definitely remember vividly us having that conversation, me coming to you saying, look, man, this guy he's going to be a beast. That's pretty much the key. If anybody knew this guy was going to be a stud coming out the draft, it was Rob, because I came straight to him. It was just like, man, this guy is just picking everyone. And just to be on that defense with the Bulldogs, along with Drew Brewer, which is crazy, that's just incredible. I think they had one of the best drafts in this season for sure. Can't wait to see what those players do. I think they got multiple starters here. So Drew's going to start. We got Shaquille's going to start at the cornerback. I believe Reggie's going to start. If he's not starting, he's at least going to be in a dual tight end system. And I'm pretty sure they're going to get him the football. Christian Nash probably not going to be a starter, but 23 years old, 72 overall, coming in as a rookie. They might definitely find some playing time for this kid. Like I said, switching with 3 backs that can make plays happen. And in terms of these guys, I don't see these guys really touching the field here. Maybe Deion Russell, develop him some, but I think almost every player was usable out of this class that they brought in. So great job. I give them an A+ for the draft. And so the Brooklyn Bulls, of course, we knew Coach Melanishian had to step down for the Bulls, and had to step in and do the draft for them. And with the first pick for the Bulls ended up selecting Sergio Woods at defensive tackle, 73 overall, ties up with the overalls with the defensive tackles that were already there. So, that was a pretty good pick right there. Then you got Cordero Moreland at the cornerback position out of LSU, 70 overall. And you had Josh Vaughn as a receiver, 24, 64 overall out of South Carolina. Michael Dillard at the tight end, 68, pretty decent tight end they found there late in the 4th. 68 overall. Next they had Justin Barlow with 53. And then in the 6th, they had Cole Barrett, 58. And then they finished off with Freddie Whitfield, the 60 at strong safety. So thoughts on the Bulls draft class?
I thought this one was middle of the pack as well. It was good to get Woods in the first round because, like you said, that matches their starter as of right now. So that's a plug and play guy for them. Moreland is going to make the defensive backfield a lot younger. He's not the best guy on the team, but he's going to be soon. And a lot of the guys here, 28, 29, 29, they're all getting up there. They're going to get slowed down, might even move on from them. And now they have a young guy to go along with a guy like Beverly or maybe Beckwith that's on the team that they can grow and develop. Everybody else aside from Dillard after that, I thought was okay, good, decent pickups for depth. But I like Dillard. He might not be, like I said, with Moreland, the best guy on the team, but I think he's going to bode well for them with Martz and Gronkowski getting up there in age. Him and Starkman could be a nice 2 tight end set. A lot of guys are trying to do 2 tight end sets now, so Dillard should be able to put right in there and be a good receiving threat for him. But overall, I give him like a BB plus, just because you don't get any big flashy players out of this draft, but they do get a couple of key guys that they can develop. And of course, day one starter with Woods.
I think overall, just a average draft here. But I am gonna just go ahead and chime on just from a coach's perspective, and obviously an opponent in his division. The pickup of Sergio Woods was a good idea for them. This team is very, very weak on the interior of the line. Just go ahead and put it out there, man. Denard Locker, 171 in the game, into the year, 150 in the divisional, and very, very. I felt as a coach, it was very easy to exploit them in the interior of that offensive line, the defensive line. So yeah, they needed to get stronger in the interior of this defensive line. So that was obviously a cause for concern for them. And so I can see why they went Sergio Woods there, hoping to try to, tighten up a little bit on the middle there. Still going to need a little bit more work there. And obviously he's going to be a developmental player. So I'm not saying he's going to come in and be the savior, but at least now they have somebody who's strong, smart, can make some tackles on the inside and stop some of the running game going on, man. So a good pickup right there. And I do like the pick of Kadero Moreland, an average career at LSU, but again, just another young cornerback who's going to come in and hopefully try to help out the DB core.
Yeah, like you said, not really too much to say about this draft. They at least got themselves, I think, really 2 solid good guys and a guy that's worth developing, as you can see right here, Michael Dillard in the 4th. With a 68 overall, definitely not going to touch the field right away. But Cedric Martz getting up there in age, he might be a guy that comes in to be part of a 2-set tight end offense with the Bulls in the future. So not a bad pick there in the 4th. Cordero Moreland at the cornerback position, I think he's definitely going to be a starter eventually. He might touch the field a little bit too this season, depending on what happens. He's definitely a good developmental player. But Sergio Woods, as you mentioned, definitely the biggest guy to talk about in this draft for the Bulls. As that defensive tackle, they had a Pro Bowl defensive tackle this year, and Enrique Garrett, and with the same overall. And if they could get a Pro Bowl defensive tackle with a guy like that, you got a hidden dev guy like Sergio Woods at defensive tackle. He was great at Clemson, won a national championship in the college series. I think that this is going to be a player that's going to be a Pro Bowler in the future for sure. You could see pretty decent, really good awareness, I say, in my opinion, coming in as a rookie. Good strength that could be built upon. And, they got 2 other defensive tackles there with the same overall at 73. But this is the younger guy. So I really feel like, he's definitely going to be somebody in the making for this defense. So all around with those first 4 picks, I guess I could say, Josh Vaughn, they got a receiver. Now, he's a pretty decent guy. But the only thing with him, he's, not the lowest. He's not the highest overall here. 64 overall. They got good receivers over there, but they needed a guy because they were getting older in that position. Maybe Josh Vaughn can turn out to be something, but one thing that really hinders him, as you can see here, normal development. So not really sure what the future holds for him. It's going to be hard to get him up and develop him. So he may not be somebody in the future for the Bulls. But for the rest of those other 3 that were in the top 4 with Michael Dillard, Cordero Moreland, and Sergio Woods, I think they were good additions that'll definitely contribute in the future and some now. So decent draft class there for the Bulls. Next up, we got the Celtic Tigers. I'm not going to say it because I know how you guys feel about it. But again, don't matter. Hey, go team. Hey, the Celtic Tigers here. They started out in the first round with the Cornerback out of Penn State, Joseph McCrary, 77 overall. Definitely needed some help at the secondary at the cornerback position. They got a little bit better with that after picking up Kilo Austin last year, but they still needed some help. They just let go of Gordon Stroud, who was a good defensive back for them at the corner position, so it was a great move to go there. And then at round 2, they had Harvey Stevens out of Penn State, another Penn State guy, 70 overall at the defensive end spot. In the third, they went and got Ian Polk at 55 overall, though, out of Wyoming. In the fourth, out of Ohio State, they got Floyd Bias, 66 overall, right guard. Then they went and got Patrick Baldwin, wide receiver from Boise State, in the fifth. Earl Presley, 59 overall defensive tackle in the sixth. And Marion Benjamin, 57 overall tight end. So thoughts on the Celtic Tigers draft?
Well, I mean, when you have a team like the Celtic Tigers, you're not going to really pull starters from drafts so often. And McCrary might get in. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, he might not even start anyway, even with the leaving of Gordon Stroud. But it does help them get younger there. They do have a lot of 28, 27-year-olds aside from Kilo Austin. So that was a good pickup. I would have liked to see them try to get another receiver a little bit earlier, because a lot of the guys that they do have at the receiver position are getting up there in age while they are really, really good. Nayani's 29, Barrow is 29, Stimson's 28. The only young guy they really have there that they can count on is Rux, and they're going to need more than one guy, especially for Justin Jones in the future when he takes over after Dre eventually retires. Overall, I'd say another middle-of-the-pack draft, but when you're a team that's, picking at 28th to start, you're not going to have a flashy draft. That's just not how they work. So I think they did well with getting McCrary where they did get him, because we didn't see many 77s after the first round or even after the 20th pick. It seemed that a lot of them were loaded up in the front, but afterwards it was a lot of 72, 73s down to 68s that we saw. So McCrary was a solid pick for him. Is going to help him in the future. The rest of the guys, I don't know if they're even going to make the team, to be honest, just because of the fact that the Celtic Tigers have so much talent on them. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. I do believe Stevens obviously will make the team. He will be a guy in the future that they lean heavily on, as the D-line, I thought, was another spot that they were going to start needing since everybody there is getting old. So Stevens answers a spot of weakness that I thought. I just wish that they would have maybe tried to target a receiver earlier. But aside from that, the first two picks, solid. The rest of them, I don't know if they make the team.
Yeah, really like the obviously this drafting Joseph McCrary. I think he's going to definitely be starting, obviously, with the loss of Stroud and Joshua Shields. I believe he went to free agency as well. So I think that that was a good pick. As you know, Smitty, the Cougars absolutely exposed them in the division game. 46 points put up on that secondary. They couldn't cover nobody, and so I think that they definitely were targeting getting a cornerback here who can come in. And that, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it too. When I was coaching them, this secondary, it just wasn't cutting it, man. It's just I don't know. I guess it's the play of Dre and the other guys on the defense that allows this secondary to kind of sneak by teams. But if you when they run up against a great wide receiver core, man, you can just absolutely exploit this team and their secondary. I think that they've made some great moves here. Obviously with Kilo Austin, man, phenomenal player, nice cornerback. He's 23, getting better. Now they bring in McCrary here. I think that they're going to still next draft, man. I think they're going to target another cornerback here and try to get this secondary up, because they've got some solid veterans here. Pro Bowl offensive linemen, Pro Bowl defensive linemen. Obviously Pro Bowl wide receivers, I guess the greatest of all time quarterback, in the words of Commissioner Smitty, quote unquote, and the backup Justin Jones here. I mean, look, the halfback, they're loaded, right? They're locked and loaded everywhere, but it's just this secondary right here, man, that I think that they need to start building upon. And so if they can, if they can find a way to get these guys, a little bit younger there and a little bit, better and aggressive, I think that this team is going to continue to dominate, man. So just a great pickup there in the first. I really like the obviously Harvey Stevens here. Somebody likes Penn State over there on the Celtic Tigers, man. They picked up Harvey. Just another great addition. He's going to come in and learn from Pro Bowl Jason Lindsley, man, Pro Bowler. You're sitting behind him. You're going to learn and see everything that's going on with that guy. So I'm not going to say an average pickup for the Celtic Tigers. I think this was a great pickup here by the team, and the team, despite being as good as it was this season, it just got a little bit better.
Yeah, with the first pick here for the Celtic Tigers with Joseph McCrary, and I think Rob really hit it on the nail. Cornerback in that defense, that secondary was one of the biggest struggles for the Celtic Tigers. And if guys seen them this season, yeah, they were winning games. They only lost a total of 2 throughout the season, but still, I mean, they almost just could not stop anybody at the secondary level. They needed some more help, like you said earlier, with Kilo Austin coming in the mix. He definitely helped out, and they had a good a starter out there along with them. But those guys, that guy's getting older, and they need somebody to pair up, of course, with Austin. And you can see here with Joseph McCrary, he's a guy who's going to be somebody in the future, because he's got hidden dev, so he's going to be a guy who's going to develop and get better over time. If you look at the speed, the only thing about that, maybe his speed is going to be a little bit of a concern, but one thing he does well is, he covers pretty good. Coming in with an 81-man coverage as a rookie, as not even a top cornerback in the draft. I mean, that's pretty solid with 78 zone coverage as well. That's going to fly up there as he continues to develop with that dev for whatever it is. He's got pretty decent press as well. This is a guy who I think is going to be able to cover everything in front of him really well, but the speed could be a concern, as we already know in the RFL. A lot of fast receivers, but still a great addition to the team in general. They needed somebody in that secondary level. A receiver, yeah, would have been great, but could wait another year for that, seeing as though the guys that they currently have are already really good, and the cornerback just seemed to be the more necessary need for the team at the moment. And then looking at the second round pick with Harvey Stevens, another hidden dev guy. A lot of hidden dev guys I see here at defensive tackle, though. Defensive end. And like you said, going to be looking to fill the hole for Jason Lindsley, who's a Pro Bowl tight end, just Pro Bowl defensive end, who just been amongst the great history of the Celtic Tigers, making plays on that defensive end position. And so he's got somebody in front of him he can learn from, and he's going to turn into a great player, I think, in the future. Maybe he's 70 right now, may not be a starter, but he's a guy that I think we'll see a couple of reps when guys get tired out there on the field. So a great addition. As for the rest of the draft, these are guys that also need to be developed. And, I think they had a pretty good, solid draft. The Conquistadors are up next here. And with their first pick, they went and got Dominic Moore, definitely a need at the defensive tackle position. The Conquistadors were definitely weak in that area. 78 overall defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Then they got Jimmy Bean, the tight end out of Washington, 76 overall in the second round. Dwayne Kelly, a 65 overall out of Oklahoma at the middle linebacker position in the third. Keyshawn Hendricks at cornerback in the fourth with a 69 overall. Then they got Malcolm St. Clair, left guard, 64 in the fifth. In the sixth, got a punter with Schmidt, 67. And at the end, wide receiver A.C. Landry, just a 56 overall. Probably not going to touch the field. But thoughts on this draft?
I like this draft. I'd say it's a little bit better than middle of the pack. I'm not going to exactly say an all-star draft, but Moore is a day one starter. I loved him coming out of the draft. I was sort of hoping that some miracle he would fall to me in the beginning of the second, but being 15th overall, I see now that was never going to happen. And with him being a hidden dev, he is going to really be able to anchor that middle of that defensive line for a lot of years. He's only 21. He's a young rookie. And I like the pick of Jimmy Bean. He's not going to be the starter right away, but like I said before when we were talking about Streeter, these teams are running 2 tight end sets now, and it does help out with the passing game and the running game, be able to mix it up and run out of those the power sets with the 2 tight ends, but also being able to rely on those guys to catch passes out of the 2 tight end sets. So those 2 guys right off the bat are going to be great. I also like the corner that they drafted. Aside from those 3, though, it's, well, like I said, developmental guys, possible practice squad guys. But Hendricks, Bean, and Moore, I like them, so I'll give them an A-.
Not going to be too long-winded, man. Just going to say, man, this is another one of those underrated teams here in the RFL. Just waiting for them to get a coach, man. Man, what they did on offense was phenomenal. One of the top offenses in the ARC this year. And at the same time, they drafted more, which they needed. They were giving up 123 yards a game average. The easiest team to run on this year. So yeah, definitely going DT was an excellent move for them. And I'll leave that there.
Yeah, not really too much to say here. The first 2 picks were definitely great for sure. The rest, of course, developmental guys. And like you said, this is kind of an underrated team for the Conquistadors. Been to the playoff a couple of times. They got good talent. They just needed some help. And I think with Dominic Moore, that's really going to help improve that defense, as you talked about. Really was not good against the run. But we'll move on to your draft class now here, Rob. First, you started off with a bang. We already knew Rob Slater was out the door. Went and tested free agency, and you went in and made a huge splash with the first-round pick for the Cougars with Geno Gannon out of LSU, 83 overall quarterback. After that, you went and got Isaiah Townsend, coming from one of your favorite colleges, Alabama, 67 overall defensive tackle. Then JoJo Hamilton out of Virginia Tech, 64 overall safety. Got Mark Hunt, wide receiver, 67 overall in the 5th. I got Roger Kelly, fullback, out of the 5th, 67 overall. Then Raleek Sheffield, middle linebacker, 61 and the 6th. And Cameron Dugan out of Ole Miss with the final pick for the Cougars at 56 overall. So thoughts on the Cougars draft, Bill?
Well, there's 2 teams that made it into the top 5 that should have had no business being around the top 5, but they made it up there. The Cougars were one of them, and Geno Gannon falls to the Cougars in a situation that a rookie quarterback can just dream of. This is a team that we just saw last season almost make it to the Reload Bowl. They were literally like 7 seconds away from going to the Reload Bowl. And now they come up and they get one of the best quarterbacks in this draft, if not the best quarterback in this draft class, next to Marquise Washington. And outside of that, man, you could have just left it at that and been fine. But the fact that they were able to bring in a few more guys at the 67 overall level, I actually really like some of these guys. The receiver, what was the receiver's name again? He was a 67 overall.
Mark Hunt.
What was
Mark Hunt.
I released him, no Bill.
You did not.
Yeah, man. We cut these guys out of here, man.
Other 67 I liked, considering I don't think there was even one on the depth chart, was the fullback, Kelly. Not going to get a bunch of fancy guys out of the later rounds and you're picking near the end of the current round that you're in, but able to get Gannon was just a game changer for the Cougars, because we saw last year that Slater, while he kept everything afloat and did help them out quite a bit, was still a guy that you wish there was a little bit more there. And I think the Cougars saw that, and Coach Roby saw that, and they made the move. They were able to get it done to go up and get Geno Gannon. And now that team is set for quite a few more years now. I think it's an A+ draft. I said it before. The 2 teams who get these 2 quarterbacks are going to be an A+ for me, and Cougars get it.
Just real quick, Speedy. We really didn't plan on really getting anybody else. We knew with trading away Payne and our first and second rounder, and obviously with our scouting, we knew what we were in for in this draft. We only wanted to get one of the best players or the best player available in the draft. So with that said, you got our guy, we got Geno, and I'm super excited about that. The other guys here, we've released a couple of guys already, and I think I'm going to release another couple of guys as well. I'm just kind of waiting a little bit to see, but yeah, there really was nobody that I feel fits the mold of the Cougars that we drafted at all. And so yeah, and I got to think money first, man. So. Yeah, we definitely released this guy. Anybody wants him, you can have him. And yeah, Cameron Dugan was released as well. I've got Geno Gannon, I've got John Bastige, and I've got a guy named Owen Legger who I picked up in off season last year or whatever. And that guy's a stud. Cameron Dugan will never see a Cougar field. So yeah, we got rid of him.
Yeah, I see people already saying wise choice as Cougars fans. But
I don't believe in preseason. What?
I got to ask you a question here. I'm assuming that Isaiah Townsend, does not want to be a Cougar or something. Why is he coming in mad? He's got a negative morale. What's going on here?
Really? Right, not gonna get no burn.
Apparently, he wanted to go somewhere else, or he's mad. He already knows he ain't going to, like you said, get no burn there.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Look
at
that's
that.
crazy.
But not gonna get no burn.
Of course, that won't be the actual rating. He'll come in at that 67 that he came in. But it's funny to see that. But yeah, this is the main story guy right here. Geno Gannon was an absolute beast in the college series. He was a beast in the face of the franchise series, which led into the college series. Won a national championship. Went back to the college playoffs, lost to Clemson, who went on to win the national championship in the college series. And the Cougars, grabbing a player like that after needing a quarterback. John Bastige would have been a great quarterback too if he had the chance to start. But I mean, coming in and getting a player like this, hidden dev too, just can't wait to see what he does as a Chicago Cougar. And like Bill said, couldn't have asked for a better landing place as a rookie coming in. Next up, we got the San Antonio Dreadnots, first round pick. They went and picked up the Texas native out of Texas, Ricky Tootley, 73 overall. In the second, they went and got Mike Garrison at free safety out of Memphis, 70 overall. In the third, Matthew McClellan out of Stanford, 70 as well. Tight end Riley Lewis, 64. Kicker Nicholas Cooper, 66. Defensive tackle Julius Brinkley, 57. And Elijah Wright, 61. Thoughts on this?
I like this draft. I think that being able to get guys at 70 overall or higher is a win in my book with this draft class. I liked Tootley coming out. I think it was a good pick there in the back of the first round. And being able to bring in a lineman like McClellan in the third at a 70 overall is another steal. Like I said, I like this draft. I think it gets the job done with what you want out of a class like we had. And a few of these other guys, even outside of the top 3 picks, are going to be developmental guys that they can build off of. But again, the Dreadnots are a team that were a playoff team last year. They didn't need a whole bunch of help. They just needed to fill a couple of little spots and find guys for the future, and I think they did that.
13-3 on the season, man. And this is just a solid team. I thought that the drafting of the run stopper was a great pickup. This team very good against the rushing yard. The rush last season, second actually, with only averaging 90 yards a game given up on defense. And so they add another run stopper here, a young run stopper who they can fit as well. So the guy actually has decent zone coverage as well, 72 zone. And so going to be pretty interesting to see him. A lot of people were excited about this pick for the Dreadnots. Ricky Tootley, a Texas guy. So, yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good. Look at that speed, man. 86 speed, 86 acceleration, a lot of strength on him and everything. Good agility. So, yeah, he's going to be causing some havoc, obviously. So that was a solid pick. And then, the next couple of picks they had as well with Garrison and McClellan. If anything, those are just some great names to have here in the RFL. So, I think he's a solid couple of pickups for him.
Yeah, Dreadnots. I like those first 3 picks were definitely very, very useful. I feel for them. Offensive lineman getting McClellan in the third. I think he's a good developmental guy who can definitely help out on that offensive line. And as you mentioned with Ricky Tootley, their linebacker core was kind of aging a bit, and getting Tootley, who's a really good, solid, secure tackler out of Texas and the native, I think it was a great addition for the Dreadnots, and so they had a pretty good draft, in my opinion, as well. Next up, we have the Toronto Huskies, and in the first round, they went and got Isaiah Streets out of LSU, 79 overall. In the second, they went and got Alex Kinder out of Ohio State, cornerback, 72. In the third, Dudley Clay at defensive end out of UCLA, 68. And then in the fourth, Zach Watkins, 69 overall left tackle. Kane Andrews from TCU, right tackle, 61. Travis Dillard, defensive tackle from Texas, 56 overall. And Jonathan Childers from UCF, 63 overall defensive end. So thoughts on the Huskies draft class?
I really like the Huskies draft class. Somehow Isaiah Streets fell all the way down to them, so now they can just add even another weapon to the passing game alongside Keith Guyton, which is crazy. But that's what happens sometimes in a draft, man. A special talent will fall because somebody wasn't expecting him to be there, and they just keep passing on him because they have no clue what to do because he's still there. Streets falls to him, 79 overall. He might not be the highest overall guy on their receiving core, obviously, but I feel that it's somebody that should definitely be getting snaps week one, and being able to come back and get Kinder with the secondary they have solid secondary, but a lot of them are getting to the point where they're going to start to regress, the 28, 29-year-olds. So having Kinder there to be able to develop, maybe play some situational is great. Outside of that, developmental guys, I love the draft, though, because of the fact they got Streets at 19th. So overall, solid draft.
Just as I thought I had to fix for Keith Guyton. I go out, I get Keone Jones to come in. He's having remarkable games against Keith Guyton, limited him to only a few catches a game in a couple of games we played this season here. Huge games as well. And they go and land Isaiah Streets, man. Just amazing pickup right there. I'm going to still say wag my finger and shame on coaches for not taking this guy earlier right here, man. So now I'm actually pulling my hair out right now, trying to figure out what I'm going to do now with Streets on the other side. So the excellent pickup right there. They automatically get an A grade from there. But something I'm going to go in, man. It's easy to talk about 1 and 2, but I want to go into Zach Watkins, man, the left tackle right here. This is a solid pickup right here, man. I'm not sure if you can actually go over to him, Smitty, and look at his stats here. But this guy is a great pass blocker and a great run blocker, and he's coming in here with almost an 80 impact block, lead block, and a 71 impact block, I believe. This guy is going to be definitely a trouble right here once he starts to get developed here. Nice, powerful left tackle out of USC. That's a really, really great pickup right there, man. Overall, it doesn't always matter sometimes, man. So it's deeper stats.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good draft there. And talking about Zach Watkins, we already know the offensive line issues that the Huskies have. I mean, getting Zach Watkins on that line, like you said, overall, sometimes even at the offensive line level, it really does not matter as long as they're able to hold their own in certain situations. And this is a guy who can definitely be built upon there with the Huskies. Got normal dev, though, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Maybe he could be a 70 by the end of the year of next season, or maybe above to a 71. But that's something we'll have to see. But Isaiah Streets, definitely a key guy to be added to the Huskies. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Nobody thought that Streets would be even on the board at pick number 18, technically at 17, but technically 18 due to the Snowhawks pick being voided. But the Huskies landing him just once again elevated their receiving core, and that's what makes the dangerous Huskies offense, as dangerous as it is just those receiving weapons. And even though Brady Hudson took a bit of a hit, he still's got A1 targets to throw to and another speedster to add on the outside. That's just dangerous. So they just keep their offense more dangerous. I really like the pick of Alex Kinder as well at the cornerback position. He's got normal dev, so he's still going to really have to get developed on and worked on to be a great player. But he's got great speed on him. You'd like to see the man in the zone, of course, get up better than that, which could be an issue. But speed sometimes, as I mentioned, helps you out with that man in zone to be able to get to places faster and make plays. And that 72 awareness as a rookie kind of helps him out as well. So I thought that was a great addition. And overall, I thought it was a great draft for the Huskies. Salt Lake City Pioneers, they should have had the number 1 overall pick. Everyone thought they were going to keep it, traded it away. Got some guys from the trade. Didn't have a first-round pick, but that was the only pick that they didn't have as they came into the second, picking up Cody John at free safety, 72 overall with their first pick. Then you had Julius Kidd out of Oklahoma, 71 overall tight end. Then in the fourth, they had Deion Smith, left guard, 68 overall. Running back Leonard Slade out of Southern Arkansas with a 63 in the fifth, and they had another fifth here, picking up a kicker with Elliot Holmberg out of Ole Miss, 67 overall. And in the sixth, Vaughn Randolph, 60 overall out of Buffalo, and Jabari Bowden with the final pick, 61 overall defensive tackle. Thoughts on the Pioneers draft?
I think without having a first round pick, they had a getting Cody John and Julius Kidd and even Smith. I mean, those are all some solid picks, especially like I said, not being able to pick in the first round. Overall, though, and I just have to give them some sort of a slight, and I'm going to say maybe a B minus, because when you're a team that needs help, and as I felt last year, the Pioneers were a team that they had a very good defense. Maybe not in the secondary as much, but their front seven was ferocious, and it kept them in games, and they didn't lose a lot of games by huge blowouts. And it was really the offense that was the issue that I thought. They brought in Farrell Rains last year. They had Andre Tomlinson. They had what's the other running back behind Tomlinson there? Bryce something, right?
Bryce Witherspoon.
It's Witherspoon. I really thought that they were a quarterback away from doing some damage in the ARC. And if they would have just stayed put and took one of the quarterbacks that was available, it would have been an easy upgrade for them, I think, and that the whole team would have been played different this year. So on that front, I do have to give them somewhat of a discounted grade, because I feel that they should have stayed at the front of the draft and they should have taken the quarterback. But without getting the first round pick, I still have to give them a decent grade because they did pull talent for not having it. So I'll give them a B on this one. I just, like I said, everybody knows here, I'm not a big fan of, if you have a top 5 pick, you're a top 5 team in the draft for a reason. I don't think the trading out of it is a great idea. I know that you get players out of it, but I mean, you saw what the ratings are on Washington and Gannon. You can't tell me that the guys that they got are a better suit than that. Those are X factors out of the gate, almost mid 80s. So it's tough to overcome that. And hopefully they have a plan with George McAfton. Maybe it's not his fault. That's just what I took from it. But overall, a B. Just like I said, I'd like to see them stick to the top of the board.
If anybody's excited right now, man, it's got to be Cody, not Cody John, but Claudison Ramsey, the strong safety, man, who's now going to get a young stud here. I think Cody John can instantly become a starter immediately in this system on the defense here, especially looking at when you're looking at Howard Lindsey and you're looking at Lincoln Wilds, man. I mean, this guy's already got the upswing on them. He has better zone man coverage than them, and he's just about as good in his zone as both of those players. He's also got pretty good play recognition, and he's faster than these guys. And so I think automatically, man, coach could just make a decision to go ahead and play Cody John over top. He's gonna be a little bit more successful. On top of that, he's just a better pursuit tackler than both of those safeties there, and he's almost better than Claudison Ramsey, the starter. So I think this is a great move here. Again, you have to look at with some of these teams. You can't just look at the draft. You have to look at what they've done up to this point. The move by coach. And everything. The moves that he's made to acquire players have been pretty awesome. I really like what he's done, and I like this pick right here.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like for a team that was the only team this season to lose, not win a game, second team in RFL history to do that, to trade away your first round pick, still, you feel some type of way about that. They got a player, but like Bill was saying, was it worth what they could have got? I honestly don't feel like it was, but they didn't do bad in the draft. You can see in the next round, like we said, they followed up, got Cody John. I think Julius Kidd's going to be another nice guy. He's got some pretty good speed on him, as you can see right here, with 83 speed and 87 acceleration. So, speed at the tight end position can kill in this league. And I think he can be developed into a great tight end. They do have already some young, pretty decent tight ends there, so he might not be able to touch the field as much in his first season as a rookie. But it was a decent addition. They helped out, like I said, the defense in the secondary a little bit with Cody John, and in the rest, just developmental guys. But overall, I give these guys a B minus in terms of their draft for not even having that first round pick. And so. Yeah, that's my grade for the Pioneers. Moving on, we had the San Diego Red Dragons. Their first pick, they pick a 78 overall tight end out of Michigan, Tyler Henderson. And then in the second, going with Nicholas Mills out of Texas, 67 overall. Jalen Carter out of Clemson in the third, 65. Brad Olson in the fourth, 64. got Floyd Phelps in the 5th, 67 out of Louisville. Then in the 6th, Deshaun Waynes, running back, 62. And they finished off with Chris Lucas, quarterback out of Akron, 57 overall. Thoughts on the Red Dragons draft?
The Red Dragons just don't have a whole lot of holes. And when you have a team that doesn't have a lot of holes, they can just sort of take whoever fits the best player available at the time, and that's what Henderson was. It just so happens that it's also one of the first areas that's going to be affected by age because McClure is 32. He's up there. Now they have Henderson to go along with, I believe it's Weaver is his name, Morgan Weaver, the other tight end. Yeah. I thought it was a solid pick. Being able to get a 78 overall when you're picking dead last in the rounds is amazing. And I also like the pick of Mills at defensive tackle. And then I also like the Floyd Phelps pick at safety. Two guys that are definitely going to be able to mold behind the all-stars they have on defense and learn from, truly the best defense, one of the best defenses last year. And overall, good draft. I really like the first-round pick in Tyler Henderson. And much like the Cougars, one solid pick is really all you need out of one of these drafts when you're a team that's talented like those guys are. And that's what they got with Henderson. I like it. I'll give him an A.
I just keep counting the number of targets that Savoy now has. He now has 9 targets to throw to. On top of just running with his legs. So excellent pickup when I get the tight end right there, man. But yeah, just looking at this guy's joining an amazing group of catching wide receivers and running backs. Magatosh, Kidd, Compton, Desmond, Rucker, Spicer, McClure, Weaver, and even Fontenot got in on some action this season as well. We know the hands of Ninadino III, awesome. And now they just go ahead and they add the big tight end, man. So, hey, they said the rich get richer, man. They got a solid player right here. Awesome.
Yeah, the Red Dragons, I give them an A as well with their draft because, like Bill said, a team picking dead last in each round, you're still able to find a gem in Tyler Henderson. Once again, like also even agreeing with Rob, another target for an already dangerous young quarterback. I think they did well in the draft here, and the other guys are developmental guys that they could possibly even develop to be, playmakers in the future. So, I think it was a solid draft for the Red Dragons, giving them an A for their draft class that they brought in. Red Dragons now moving on to the River Hogs. We have the defensive end out of Stanford that was picked in the first round by the River Hogs, Cavante Ryan, 71 overall, followed by Caleb Godfrey in the second, wide receiver out of Boise State, 70. Then you had Zachary Henley out of LSU at tight end, 71 overall in the third. Tim Baldridge out of Virginia Tech, 61 overall in the fourth. Al Upshaw, running back out of Iowa, 62 overall in the fifth. Henry Coleman, center out of USC, 57. And then they had LaMarcus Short at strong safety, 62 in the seventh. Thoughts on the Riverhawks?
I really like the Riverhawks draft. Godfrey, Henley, and then Ryan's, I think, are amazing additions. Ryan's is going to be able to I don't know what the plan is with Fluker at the end there, but he's going to be able to start, whether it's instead of Fluker or maybe next year, because they have Brent Harrison on the other side, and they also have Tequil Amerstead. So their D-line is really, really young now. They've replaced the one guy that was a mainstay in Fluker. They have that with Ryans. I like the Godfrey pick because while they have a tremendous wide receiver core, all 3 of their starting receivers are over the age of 30. They need some more guys to go along with Sheffield, I think, is the only guy left on that team, and maybe Lashley at receiver. I'm not 100% sure there. And then even the tight end for Shropshire, he's getting up there too. But these tight ends this year, I think, were a little bit underrated, and some guys didn't really take them all that seriously like they should have, just because tight end isn't exactly a flashy position. But they were able to get another solid target to go along with Godfrey as some of these older guys start weaving themselves out of the RFL and shore up the defensive line with Fluker getting up there in age. So I give him an A. I really like the draft.
I don't have much more to say than what Bill has said, man. A great few first 3 rounds for the team. Obviously, the big wide receiver with Godfrey definitely going to help him out there, and just a good draft.
Yeah, nothing really too much to say about here. 3 good first-round picks, in my opinion. Getting Kevontae Ryan's probably not going to start out the gate, but he may be a guy who starts year 2 to replace Sherman Fluker there. Then at wide receiver, as Bill mentioned, just a lot of. I think every guy was 30 or above other than the last receiver that he mentioned, blanking on his name, but getting that receiver in the second, once again, another useful pick, and then age becoming a little bit of an issue at tight end. Zachary Henley being able to plug in and to help out Randy Shropshire, and the receiving targets for the Riverhogs is another great pickup. So great draft for the Riverhogs. Next we have the Orlando Sentinels. They started out with Rob Schultz out of Alabama, 79 overall wide receiver. Oscar Lamb was in the second out of California, left guard, 70. Then they had Mike Brackens in the fourth, 64 overall. Charles Blades at running back out of Florida A&M, 65. James Lynch out of USF, free safety, 67 overall. Then J.J. Morrison at middle linebacker out of UConn, 58. And with the same overall at 58, in the seventh, they pick Terrence Anderson out of Penn, defensive tackle. Thoughts on Coach Torres' draft?
Another one I'm a fan of. I don't think it's like an amazing draft class, but like I said, a lot of these teams, especially the teams that were either in the playoffs or right outside the playoffs, it's hard to pick there because a lot of the big fancy guys go off the board, and it's just a little too early to reach for some of the other guys that you might have taken if you had a later pick. But they go ahead and get Rob Schultz. I personally really like this guy coming out of college. I loved him in the series last year, and I think that with the situation with McGarity getting up there, and I know Rob Winborn took a pretty big regression this year. Mm-hmm. They find the second guy to go along with last year's stud find in Trey Cook at receiver to help DWJ out. And I also like the pick of Oscar Lamb, solid left guard to bring in. Don't know if he's going to be a day one starter, but a lot of these linemen weren't above a 70 that much. A couple of them were, 74, 75, but for the most part, you were 69, 68, 70. They end up finding one of the ones that was at 70, and he'll probably be able to just start in the next season or two. I like sometimes these drafts when it's, the teams, the playoff teams, they're not drafting for starters. You're drafting for guys in the future, and that's exactly what they did here. So I'll give them an A-.
Yeah, man. The only thing I got to say about this pick here, man, is I just absolutely love the fact that they got Rob Schultz, man. Many people don't know much about don't know a whole bunch about the Sentinels, man, but they had 4 guys, man, who were almost 1,000 yards. 2 of them were over 1,000 yards receiving, but they had two other wide receivers who almost had 1,000 yards receiving. And so what I really like about this pick though, man, is when you think of the Sentinels, man, we know Trey Cook, he's flashy, he's a young guy, he's a nice wide receiver, but they don't really have that popularity guy, that popular guy like a lot of the other teams, man. You know what I mean? And so I really like this Rob Schultz guy right here, the Dutch, we like to call him, man. We trained him up all college series. This guy is just really dynamic. And I think that what's going to happen is that he's going to start to command a lot more of the defense's attention. And that's going to definitely open it up for Trey Cook. I think you're going to start to see the Sentinels, man, make some really crazy highlight reels in the wide receiving game this season. So I just have to give I have to give this an A rating, obviously, just because of the fact that they just landed, one of the best wide receivers in the draft, is straight stud. And the guy is just amazing, man. Just awesome,
Yeah, what I'm going to do is, just because we're pretty much halfway through here, I'm going to just leave it up to where you guys talk about it and you give your grades. I'll just list the names and stuff so it doesn't take too long. We're not too long into this anyway. I mean, just a little bit over an hour and a half. We usually go over that anyway. But, yeah, really good draft there, like Rob Schultz. Next, we have to finish the ARC, the Houston Voyagers. And so they didn't have a first-round pick, but with the second round, they went and got Tremont Eckel, right guard out of San Diego State, 74 overall. Then Gunnar Witt, running back. He was not from Abilene Christian. He was from Wisconsin, but he's a 74 overall as well in the second with those 2 second-round picks. Then they went and got Max Billingsley in the third out of TCU, 70 overall. Then Daniel McDougal, left tackle out of Ohio, 65. Then Brian Johnson, a sleeper quarterback out of Syracuse, 70 overall. Followed by Terrell Irving, wide receiver out of Tulane, 59. And with the same overall at 59, tight end out of Miami, Cade Bradfield. Thoughts on Coach Baker's draft?
I really liked the draft, man. I thought that they had 4 solid picks. Witt, Billingsley, Eckel, Witt, Billingsley, and Johnson, to me, were all home run hits for the positioning that they were taking. I really like what Coach Baker's doing there, and I know he did a lot of moving around in the offseason with free agency and a couple of trades. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table this season, and I think this draft just made them that much better. Being able to get a guard at a 74 overall, that's a starter on over half the teams in this league, and it might be a starter for them. Not many guys on the roster are higher overall. Gunnar Witt, I don't know what the plan is there. I feel like they have quite a few running backs, but Gunnar Witt should be a great tandem with Terrence Ward at some point because they're both really young. They could really help them. And then they go and get Brian Johnson, who I think is a under-the-radar pickup because Glenn Hay is a very solid quarterback, but he's also old. They can let Brian Johnson sit behind him for a season or two. Maybe they can build him up. And then they have the future of their quarterback, and they don't have to worry about trying to find one in the drafts in the next couple of years. So I really liked it. Being able to hit on a 70 overall or higher on 4 picks, especially when you have no first-round pick, is an amazing feat, and I'm going to give them an A for that.
Just to add, just a solid draft for the Voyagers. Again, looking at the bigger picture, man, this guy's done a lot since the offseason. So just adding on 4 more 70-plus players onto his team is just awesome. McDougal, the McDougal find is also very, very good as well. This guy's just an all-around blocker on left tackle. So yeah, man, just a great draft right here, man. He found some studs, and he's getting younger.
Yeah, so that's going to do it here for the ARC side. Now let's go to the NRC of the RFL. Hopefully they got that there for me because I've seen that's been taken off for some guys.
I can't see the NRC side, so just remind you.
Oh, okay. Oh, but you're in there, right? You could probably look at the roster. So I'll show up the list here. All right, so first let's start with the Barons. And so the Brooklyn Barons starting off the NRC. They didn't have any picks in the first 3 rounds. In the fourth, they went and got Stuart Thompson, a 67 overall left guard. Floyd Phelps, who he's actually going to be traded off because he was picked by the Red Dragons, so this is not a pick that they have, which is why we gave him a compensatory 7th round pick. Then we had, well, actually they got a compensatory pick for that. No, I believe that was the 7th, so never mind. Then you got Trevante Nickerson, running back out of Central Michigan, 66 overall. In the 5th, also in the 5th, Donnell Butler out of Georgia, right outside linebacker, 64 overall. Then Carlos Wright, free safety from Buffalo, 67 overall. Vernon Atkinson, a cornerback out of Ohio, 65 overall. And Sam Anthony with the compensatory pick out of Middle Tennessee State, 61 overall. Thoughts on the Barons draft?
They really didn't have a lot of draft capital to start with. Being able to pull a few guys that are 65 and above with Atkinson, Wright, Nickerson, and Thompson, I think is a pretty good haul. You know, when you trade a lot of the capital away, that's you're looking for in other areas, and I know they brought in quite a few guys between free agency and trading. So overall, a solid offseason. Not much of a draft because, like I said, you traded away the capital. You're just not going to find the stud players that you would hope for. especially in a draft class like the one we had that was a lot more front loaded than it was evened out. But like I said, 65 overall and above was really, once we got past the second round, sort of the signifier that you at least got a decent pick, and they were able to find 3 or 4 of those. So I think overall it's a solid draft for what they had available to them. I'll say A minus.
I can't deep dive like I want to deep dive, guys, because I can't. It's just too much, man. Right now, trying to look for the rookies on this roster.
Oh, okay.
But what I will say that is that I know Coach Roland, man, and I know how he thinks about some things, and I think that while we might say that these the 65 and 67 guys are just just average, he's going to find a way to exploit these guys as best as he can, man. That was his main thing last season when he came in as just a young coach. He was, we were wondering, what is this guy doing? Why is he going after these 68-year-olds, 68 overalls, 69 overalls? And it's because he knows how to take guys like that and exploit certain aspects of their game. And so I'll give him that. I'm interested to see what he's able to do with these guys. He was really adamant about Nickerson and Phelps and some other guys and everything. So yeah, we'll see what he's able to do with these young guys, man. So that's all I can say. He's just different kind of coach, thinks differently, utilizes players differently, man. So this might maybe these are some cards in his hand right now that he can use.
Yeah, just looking at one of the prospects here, Nickerson, he's got a hidden dev, so maybe he could be something a little bit in the future. Morale a little bit down for each one of these guys, but of course that's not carrying over. You got to build these guys' confidence up. Coach Woods looks like they don't want to play for the Barons. Get them right, man. Then we got the Sacramento Condors. The Sacramento Condors, they had a really good draft as well. First round, they went and landed Ray Franklin out of Clemson, 83 overall. Then they got Price Greer out of Oregon in the second, and 79. And then Brendan Warner, power running back out of LSU, 74 overall. In the third, Kyle Bond, cornerback from Michigan, 71. Then Justin Nix, right tackle out of Southern Miss, 68. Deshaun Averill, in the fourth. D tackle was 67. Jimmy Emmanuel, 66 overall out of the fifth. Tyrone Russell, running back out of Liberty, 67. And then Kent Bobo, 61 overall cornerback. So draft was kind of deep, had a good amount of picks here, but they came up with a good amount of talent here. Bill, what's your thoughts on their draft?
I absolutely love the Condors draft. I don't think they expected Franklin to be there for them at their pick, but he was, and you had to pull the trigger on that. That was the biggest weakness they had last year, was that their secondary was just it was not helping them out at all in games. They gave up a lot of yards. Franklin's going to help change that immediately. And then they go ahead and they get the tight end. I like that pick. And the fact that they got nothing, they had, what do they have, 7 or 8, maybe 9 draft choices, and none of them were below a 60, majority of them 65 and overall. I think those are great numbers. The only thing that I'm not sure on, and maybe they'll have something that they plan on doing that'll show me otherwise, I think we've actually talked about this, is they went and got a guy in Warner who is a bona fide power back through and through. We saw what happened with Ronnie Nickens last year when they had him. I'm just not sure what Warner is going to do differently that Nickens couldn't do, because Nickens was a very, very solid back. So I'm not 100% sure on that pick there, but overall-wise, they had a great draft. Greer, Franklin, and Warner all highly rated, especially for where they were in the draft. I think overall great, but like I said, I'm a little iffy on the running back choice.
I really like the picks by the Condors, man. Again, not to get too long-winded, but great picks. Obviously, landing Ray Franklin, moving up in the draft like he did, snagging their guy. I think they were slated on one of the mock drafts to have gotten Streets here. And instead they go and they get Ray Franklin, man. That's a huge statement for the defense here. Automatic leader for the team, man, and just awesome. Awesome pick. Nice few draft pickups as well with Greer and the other guys. And so really like what they did, man.
Yeah, solid draft for the Condors, and just to harp on that, man. definitely was one of my key points in the draft, man. With what they're going to get out of Brennan Warner. He's also a hidden dev guy. They have not had success with power backs there. Got to see how that turns out. But the draft for the Condors looked great. Crusaders were next, and they had only 5 draft picks. And they at least had their first round, and they picked up A.J. Bowen out of not Pittsburgh, but Penn State. That's where he went, 77 overall. And then in the third, they had Randy Clark, a strong safety, 68 overall. Running back Jamar Silas, 61 overall. Then Noah Sitton at defensive at tight end, Fresno State, 64. And then Lane Smith, fullback from Wisconsin.
This draft was a little bit on the short side. Like you said, they only had 5 picks. They did get a stud in A.J. Bowen, who I think fell a little bit later. I expected him to go mid-teens, but there was sort of a lack of safeties being taken after Franklin went off the board. We just didn't see a whole lot of them going early on, like I think was initially projected. But they get Bowen, a very, very solid player. The rest of the draft is it's nothing to really look at. But as long as you can get one solid player when you only got 5 picks, I think it's a decent draft. I'll give them a B+ on this because of the fact they got A.J. Bowen.
Yeah, pretty decent fullback they picked up in Lane Smith, man. Just notice the speed and acceleration on this guy. 75 speed, 77 acceleration, pretty fast for a fullback here. He actually has hands as well, 71 hands, and so yeah, man, solid pick obviously in the first, and a nice pick up here with the fullback.
Yeah. Moving on to Desperados. The Austin Desperados in the first round went and got Chester Brace, strong safety out of UCLA, 70 overall, followed by Kevin Crockett out of UCF, quarterback, 70 overall as well. Jalen Carter, they didn't get this pick. That was the Red Dragons, and so this is a pick that they'll get compensated for. In the fifth, they got Darion Medlock, 65 overall, middle linebacker out of FIU. Then they got Gerald McFarland, right tackle out of Ohio, 63 overall. Then Dwayne Adams, strong safety from Tulane, 61. Thoughts on the Desperados draft?
Everything after Crockett was just run-of-the-mill. I love the Crockett pick. I didn't think he was going to fall that far. I thought maybe beginning of the second round, maybe even back into the first round, a couple of the teams that didn't really need a quarterback right off the bat. But I'm still a little, and maybe Coach Hooks has something up his sleeve that I have no clue about. But I just felt myself that there was better safeties on the board at the time that Brace was selected. So I'm a little caught off guard with that pick. But I like the Crockett pick, and everything else was just sort of run-of-the-mill 65 overall. So really nothing to say on that. But, yeah, Brace just, to me, was a little bit questionable considering some of the talent that was still on the board. But like I said, maybe he's got a plan that I'm not seeing, and maybe he'll show us this year.
Yeah, I love Hooks, man. Awesome guy, awesome coach. Works hard for his Desperados. That first pick, though, man, mind blown. The emoji that they have, and my mind was just blown. I don't know why. He did that one. I know there was definitely better strong safeties at that position, and maybe even a cornerback better at 120. So I was just a little bit confused with that one. I like the Crockett pick. Solid pick. Really like Crockett. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it gets kind of ugly sometimes, man. And I just thought that was just not a great pick in the first round going after Chester Brace.
And it's going to be interesting to see Kevin Crockett. Pretty much we already know Chase Mason is the current starter, still the highest overall at a 79. Definitely has been hitting regression city. Most likely will not return, probably retire or not start next season. And so that leaves a quarterback position battle most likely between Eric Fisher and Kevin Crockett. Eric Fisher, though, 76 overall, so he's got a much higher of a upper hand. So most likely Eric Fisher will be the guy. But Kevin Crockett's still a guy who can at least be a backup, potentially maybe even the starter if Eric Fisher has that type of season like he did in his sophomore season in the league. The Diablos see. It seems like they're not showing the picks here. There they go. Okay, so with the Mexico City Diablos in the first round, they had 2 picks. They went out and got Timothy Staten, 76 overall, out of Wisconsin. And following him, they had Greg Pound, strong safety out of Florida State, 72 overall. Then moving into the second, they went and got Parker Thomas out of Ohio State, 71 overall. And in the third, Noah Albright, right guard out of West Virginia, 61. Then in the third as well, Lonnie Poole, tight end out of Clemson, 76 overall. They had a lot of picks, man. David Kyrie, cornerback out of USC, 68. Wide receiver, Justin Evans, 60 overall. Then they got Jalen McKay, outside linebacker out of Army, 65 overall. Jaleel Smith out of Florida, left guard from Florida, 54 overall. And then final pick in the 7th, Lane Spencer, guard out of Memphis, 60. Thoughts on the Mexico City Diablos picks here? Had a lot of picks.
And I am happy to see that Parker Thomas is going to go somewhere where he can start eventually, man. That was a great pick for them, especially at the midway through the second round, halfway, maybe towards the third round. I love the pick. I also love the Timothy Staten pick, Wisconsin boy. I think he's going to do great on the defensive line. To me, it was their number 1 need was the defensive line. The line's just getting older. Guys just are not there as talent-wise, and I love that pick as well. So him, Parker Thomas, and then to come and get that tight end Poole late in the round, and he's a 76 overall, was it? And that's crazy. That late in the draft, considering everybody else's picks at that time were pretty much 68s to 70s. So overall, I think they did well in the draft. They could have maybe fared a little bit better in the third and later than the fourth round because 61s, 56s, those kind of things. But they were still able to get, I think, 4 solid players out of it. So overall, good draft for them.
Talk about QB wars, man. These guys got 5 quarterbacks on their roster right now. So Parker Thomas obviously jumping ahead of those last 3 guys, Kowalski, Brown, and Lester there. But yeah, good draft by these guys, man. I said it during the draft that these guys are a pretty solid team, man. I remember when Wes Warden was coaching them. And I try to encourage him, to try different things with the team. And this team, man, we saw it sometimes, man. They gave some teams some runs for their money, man. They weren't, just easy to roll over. So the acquirement, or having acquired Staten, Pounds, Thomas, Poole. I just thought that was really, really good for this team, man, going forward. And I thought they had a solid draft with those guys. So just a solid draft for the Diablos.
Yeah, going to be interesting because I believe Greg Pounds is now going to be the starter. They had 2 older guys at that position that were at a 71. Greg Pounds just notched him with a 72, and so he'll get an opportunity to start. They definitely needed a safety. So you've seen a couple of starters they got here. Pretty much I count Parker Thomas as a potential starter, depending on what the next, whoever coaches the Diablos, what they do and what's available at the quarterback position next year in the upcoming college series draft and everything. So great draft for the Diablos. Next up, we got the Elks. And games is a little bit wonky right now. Okay, so first round, they went and got, not sure what's going on here. Okay, so first round, they went and got Roy Kincaid. Okay, let me back out of here. Something's going on. Don't know what's going on with the game right now at the moment. Playing a little laggy here, loading data. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I have to... Okay. It seems like it's back to normal. Don't know what's going on here. But Roy Kincaid, 78 overall in the first round, wide receiver. They were able to pick up. Second round, they got Bill's son, Ben Nicholson, out of Stanford, 66 overall. And also in the second, Derek Green, strong safety out of Massachusetts, 71 overall. They got Jeffrey Bradshaw, running back out of Cincinnati, 68 in the third. Dominique Jacoby, middle linebacker from Washington State, 65 overall. Keenan McDougal out of Michigan State, 63 overall. Brandon McGuire, center out of Virginia Tech, 63 overall. Mark Gordon, left tackle out of Nebraska, 64. And in their final pick, they got a 65 overall cornerback in Deion Russell. I think one of those are wrong because I think Russell was somewhere else. But yeah,
I personally like top 4 picks they had. Cade to me is an immediate game changer. I think he has to start from day one. Even though he's not the highest overall, he's got to be in the situation. He's got to be in the rotation for starting. I was not, and this is going to sound bad because I've been clamoring for my adopted son Ben Nicholson to get drafted by somebody, but I just wasn't sold on where he went. I feel like there's a few people who agree with me on that. If not, that's okay. It's what I'm here for. I just thought with Crockett and with Thomas still on the board that if you really needed a quarterback, that you would go after one of those guys. But to me, I'm just not sure why the quarterback was even taken that early, considering they have Kyle Bain and what he did last year. But overall, I like the first 4 picks, and I think that Kincaid was a definite difference maker for them to get them where they did was amazing. Overall, I'll give it a B plus just because, like I said, I'm a little up in the air about what happened with the quarterback situation there.
Yeah, man. Just gonna harp on Kincaid again, man. Really like that pick. Fastest wide receiver, just about the fastest wide receiver on their team. So they just got super locked and loaded there. Guy has great hands, great route running, man. Just about as better route running than Malcolm Wiley, who's playing the slot there in his 30 years of age on his way out. So Roy Kincaid definitely about to slide up to a ranked position here in the top 3. Just solid pick there, man. Really like it.
Yeah. Next up, we got Bill's squad, and so I'll have Rob start out with this. Look, I don't know what's going on here, but hopefully this doesn't continue. But we got they didn't have a first-round pick. Second round, they went and got a running back, Tommy Bigby out of Florida, 74 overall. Then got Corey Bosher in the same round out of Washington, left tackle, 69 overall. In the same position and overall, they went and got Angel Hubbard in the third. Strong safety, they got Denard Ward out of Kentucky in the fourth, 65 overall. Darrell Walton, outside linebacker from Missouri, 63 overall. In the sixth, Imani Meggett, defensive tackle from Clipston, 60 overall. And then they finished with Derek Sasser, defensive end out of Georgia, 62 overall.
Coach got some filler here on his team right here, man. Solid, pickups. Obviously not looking really to. Obviously he's not in a position after going to the Reload Bowl. He was not in a position to land a game changer. But utilized what he had, man. Was able to make some trades. Moved up into the second round. And he lands Tommy Bigby, big boy Bigby, man. That's a hidden dev guy right there. So definitely going to be somebody who's going to be crucial to this halfback core, who's has had problems with injuries, and so that's definitely plagued them a bit. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they utilize Bigby in this system here. I'm not gonna say he's coming right in and is the best back, but this is somebody who coach can maybe build up a little bit, man. Keep progressing him and everything, and maybe this guy becomes the future here. Obviously the injuries have been a cause for concern for coach, and so he decided that he probably took talent as well, but he probably decided, hey man, I need to go ahead and get me another back. Somebody who I can try to see if I can rely on. And I thought it was just a good pick, man. Good, solid pick right there, and just solid moves, man. Backroom deals, getting himself back up there to be able to land a guy like Bigby.
What's your thoughts on your draft, Bill?
I mean, my draft was as good as I guess I could make it. I was hoping to get a top tier defensive lineman in the my first pick, but that just didn't happen. It didn't really pan out that way. And when none of the running backs went in the first round, I was like, hey man, I got a team that can win now. And my philosophy is if I don't have a major hole to fill and I have some flexibility, that I got to take best player available because you never know. And so what I did. Big B fell to me. Nobody touched the running backs yet. I was actually looking at Tristan Price. It was between Bigby and Price at that pick at that point. Price went before, answered my question. We went Bigby. And the line situation is I'm a big O-line believer. We want to go get a couple more guys that can fill in at some depth, and hopefully we can build upon for future starting. And hopefully we got a one project player out of all the defensive guys we got. If you notice, we did a lot of power rushing and pass rushing overall defensive line players for the front seven, hoping to just get one guy out of it. But overall, I'd give myself like a B+ for the draft just because didn't have a first round pick. We just did what we could.
Yeah. Pretty decent draft, though, for what you could make out of it. We had the Houston Gunners. For their first round pick, they went and got Carlton Scruggs out of Ole Miss, 78 overall wide receiver, followed by Sean Jones, defensive tackle out of UCLA, was a 70 overall. And then in the third, they got Adrian Martin, left tackle, 69 overall out of Kentucky, followed by Ron McNeil in the fourth, cornerback, Nebraska, 68 overall. Left guard, Jaden Hubbard out of UCF, 64 overall. And they finished with Malik Mincy, defensive tackle out of Texas, 60 overall. Thoughts on the Gunners?
The only thing I really have to say for the Gunners, man, is I love the Scruggs pick. I love Carlton Scruggs in the series. I thought personally he was the best receiver in the draft. I know Streets is like an overall higher than him, and Kincaid I believe is as well, and it's Schultz is I believe. But I think that Scruggs is going to be the best out of all of them in a few years. And great pick, perfect for what they needed with Jabri Jackson. And the rest of the draft, good development guys.
Saw Coach Bachagalupi say try to throw it. Biggs loves Scruggs or whatever. As if I'm not supposed to love Scruggs. You're gonna love Scruggs when you see him this season. Solid pick right there, man. Playing with a great quarterback, and we've been waiting for them to get this huge wide receiver here, man. I watched the college series, all the games, right? And if you haven't watched Carlton Scruggs play and say you love him, and shame on you, man. This guy is awesome. This is a huge pick. The coach knows, Coach James, we talk. And I told him, man, you need to get a big wide receiver for Jabri, man. And you're going to do some things. And I think what's going to happen now is that now that they're commanding that attention now, right? Because they got rid of Colt Cruz. Now they're commanding that attention with Kayan on the other side. And they've got, still got a big tight end. And now they've got Carlton Scruggs on the other side. And watch that running game. Watch that power game open up, man. I'm telling you, man, this team has just gotten way, way better. And, man, just huge pick right there. That's all I got to say about that one, man. Love the pick. I love you, Scruggs. Shout out to the Cougars and Coach James. Gunners and Coach James.
Next up, we have the Lancers. Oklahoma City Lancers didn't have any first or second round picks, but what they did do is land Morris Justice with their first pick in the third out of Wisconsin. Was a 64 overall. And in the third as well, they went and got Taven Byers, the left end out of North Dakota State, 69 overall. In the fifth round, they got Deontay Cates, left guard out of Nebraska, 71 overall in the fifth. Nice find right there. Brendan Hill, defensive tackle from Charleston Southern. He was a 64 overall, and with the same overall in the same round, they got a running back. They got the running back Demarius Bell, nice name, Southern Miss. And in the seventh, they had three picks in there with J.D. Westbrook, wide receiver, 58, free safety Terrence Blackwell, 60, and Dalvin Birmingham, 60 overall as well. Thoughts on the Lancers draft?
Well, I know you called. We saw Morris Justice before. I don't know why he's listed as a quarterback. Man, the guy's a running back. He's got better stats for the running back categories than he does quarterback stats, it seems. I like the second and third pick that they had for sure. I thought that was some good spots to get him, especially being that they didn't have a first round pick or second round pick. But to me, I'm not sure why go after Morris Justice in the third round. I know that he was the best quarterback available. I myself just thought that maybe I think Mason is a lot better quarterback, and he's got a few more years left than what it seems with your first draft pick going to be a quarterback. But maybe they want to run like a West Coast or like a read option type of system where Justice just runs around all day. Maybe that's the case, and I'm just not seeing it. Overall, decent draft. I just think they could have gone a different spot with the first pick with Justice because I'm just not sure what you're going to get out of him at a quarterback position.
Yeah, man. I try to notice trends with coaches. I was really shocked at the numbers on Morris Justice. I wasn't shocked. I was shocked that he picked him up because I knew that Morris Justice had an awesome college series. Well, he was great in some moments and everything. But I really was shocked when I did see the actual official numbers on this guy, man. The trucking and all that stuff is just crazy. Coach sent me the screenshot of that. But one thing I noticed trends, man, with guys. And if you look, all right, so we're looking at Morris right now, man. You can see these numbers right here. Okay, this is a guy who's gonna definitely be a playmaker in this system right here. Loads of speed coming out of that backfield from the quarterback position. There's some things the coach can do with this guy that are gonna be really awesome. But if you go back to that screen right quick, Smitty, you go back to the overall screen of him, his picks right here, man. What I noticed, man, is that this coach right here is somebody who values speed. And all those players that he landed, man, in all of those positions are fast and have some acceleration, man. And so I think that he's just bolstered up his team a little bit. He wants his team to be quick. He wants them to get out the way. And I'm liking what he did here, man. You know, I can't just look at the overalls there. I gotta look at this, man. But look at some of those awarenesses as well, man. 73, 72 there. But the speed here, man. The speed is what's killing me right now. That he's able to add to his team, and everybody knows speed matters in Madden.
Yeah. Nice, a pretty decent draft, I definitely say there for the Lancers. Next up, we have the San Antonio Marshals. First round, they went and got defensive end Morris Wright out of Alabama. He was a 73 overall. In the second, they went and got wide receiver out of Notre Dame, Devin Flores, 75 overall. Followed by J.D. Edwards, cornerback out of Miami, in the third. Then kicker in the third round, Casey Dowman out of Oklahoma, 69 overall. I got Ronell Best, middle linebacker, Notre Dame again, 65. Ron Branch, same overall, 65, defensive tackle out of Washington. And in the fifth, they got Malcolm St. Clair, left guard out of Ohio State, 64. Quandre Cowell in the sixth, 63 overall out of Alabama. And they finished with Justin Bowe, tight end out of UCF, 56 overall. So thoughts on the Marshals draft?
I like the first three picks. It seems to be a growing trend, but that's just sort of how this draft has gone. I know that Coach Rummel did a lot of work in the offseason with retooling the offensive line. So being able to go get Morris Wright and not worry about the O-line was important, considering they gave up Rashard Scipio. I also love the pick of Devin Flores. I think him and Acosta are going to be, in a couple of years, might be one of the best combos of receivers we have in the league, as we saw what Acosta did last year already. Now he's going to have another young guy to throw to, or to run alongside, and Agramonte's going to have another guy to throw to. I like that pick. I think overall it was a good draft for the Marshals. And I especially like the J.D. Edwards pick to come back and get him in the third. And if some guys weren't mistaken, if you didn't pay attention to the college series or the Senior Bowl that we had, the East versus West game, some of these guys that were actually in that game were, I think, in the undrafted section, which is where J.D. Edwards was. And I had my eye on him for like a fourth, fifth round pick, assuming guys wouldn't find him. Rummel paid attention, saw him, went to pick him up, and he ended up being better than some of the guys who were ranked a lot higher than him. So I thought it was a solid draft, and Marshall's got better for sure. I say A-.
Just a quick add-on, man. The Devin Flores signing was or draft pick was awesome. Really like I just like Coach in general, man. Coach Rummel, just a great guy. It's great for the league. And really just happy that he was able to acquire what he acquired. Had a great season. And he's getting a tremendous wide receiver, man, as a part of his wide receiver core now, man. So I know he's probably excited too. Just a great pick.
Next up, the London Monarchs. Now, they only had 4 picks in this draft, but every single pick was a 70 or above. The first round, they went and got William Marshall out of Texas, middle linebacker. Then Kamal Buchanan at defensive end out of Auburn, 70 overall as well. In the second, with their second round pick, they had got tight end Donald Hanson out of UCF. A vertical threat, great receiving style of tight end, 75 overall. And then in the third, Terrell Robertson out of Utah, 71 overall. What's your thoughts on the few picks that the Monarchs did have?
Well, for the picks they had, give them an A+, man. But for what happened with the draft itself and how little picks they had, considering where they were last year, I give them a C, so I'll give them overall a B. Really not much to say about this draft. They didn't get any huge playmaking difference makers. I believe Donald Hanson will be a very talented tight end for them in the future. But aside from that, just a lot of guys that most of the other teams got. But, the Monarchs just needed a lot more than what they got out of this draft. And unfortunately, they just didn't even have an opportunity to make it happen.
I don't have much to say about this one, man. Just glad that they were able to acquire something out of the draft. You made something out of nothing there, man. So hats off to you, there, Commish, with that. But yeah, man, terrible.
Yeah, that's rough, man. Definitely some upside. Can't wait to see what Donald Hanson does. He's definitely looking like he's going to be a future tight end for the Monarchs after Dexter Roy goes away. Next, we have the Shamrocks. The Shamrocks had a few picks. Now, this was not a pick that they actually got. They got to get, I believe, they actually picked up Jamichael Rowland. I don't know which team picked him up from this file. So there's Jamichael Rowland for this pick. Can't remember what overall he was off the top of my head. I believe he was a 72, if I'm not mistaken. Then in the second round, they got Kendall Bullard, right tackle out of Arkansas, 70 overall. In the third, Marcus Acosta, 67. Terrence Hargrove, wide receiver from Stanford, 62 overall. Running back Lonnie Murphy out of Eastern Michigan, 66. Casey Ratliff out of Stanford at free safety, 62 overall. And at a 61 overall, fullback out of Arizona State, Francis Jacobs. Thoughts on the Shamrocks draft?
I think it was a decent draft. Was it Jamichael Battle was the guy that they got in the first round? Yeah. I didn't see them having a huge need at linebacker. I thought their bigger need was offensive line. Maybe would have liked to see them go there earlier, but I do like some of the later picks they got. I like Bullard, and I definitely like Lonnie. What's the running back's last name? Lonnie Murphy. I like that pickup as well. Overall, average draft. Nothing too exciting. Nothing too terrible. I'll give them a B, a flat B.
Definitely just gonna have to give them like I said about a lot of other teams that picked up defensive players. The team was giving up 115 yards on the ground last year, and so coach wanted to go after defensive line there obviously early, and did a great job with the pickup there. Obviously anytime you go offensive line as well, knowing that you have a quarterback who's a little bit fancy, then that's just going to help you out there. So solid draft by the Shamrocks.
Next up, we had the Snowhawks, and there wasn't much after they had their first through fourth round picks taken away. They only had 3 picks, and with their first pick in the 5th, they got Donovan Murray out of Boise State, 66 overall, cornerback. Keith Kelly, free safety out of Auburn, 63 overall, and Arthur Stammer out of Clemson, 58. Probably not much to say here, guys.
Didn't really get much of anything out of this draft, and I think that was sort of the whole point of the suspension. So I think, I really don't have much to say about this one. And not great picks for the guys they picked, and they just didn't have much to go off of anyway.
Not many comments here, man. He knows it. It's over. Move on to next season. Now, hopefully, we can be able to see the Snowhawks next season, man. Unfortunately, we all missed out. On a just such a great team, man. You know what I mean? I really like the Snowhawks team, and so can't wait to see them, man, at full form next season, man, and back in the swing of things.
Yeah. Yeah, the Memphis Steamers, they had themselves 5 picks in this draft, and in the first round, Justin Jones, coach of the Steamers, was very high on this kid, and it definitely paid off. 80 overall, Mansour Chappelle turned out to be out of Stanford at the free safety position. Then in the second round, they got Ray Stevens, cornerback out of North Dakota State, who ended up being another great find, 74 overall in the second. Didn't have a pick until the 5th, and they went and got a punter, and Thad Polk out of Miami, 60 overall. And 54 overall, they got a running back, Deion Nance, out of Arkansas State. And they finished with Kendrick Harris out of Alabama, 61 overall.
Apparently, the Steamers just want to have an absolute no-fly zone. They don't want anybody being able to throw on them at all because they've been last year, I think they drafted 1 or 2 guys. They have John Gibson, they have Caden Blair, William Jackson, Tercel McCollum. All of these guys are under 22, 23 years old, 24 years old. And then the only real spot that they weren't completely set at for sure was at the free safety position, and they go and get Mansour Chappelle. So we know what they wanted to do. They wanted to stack up their secondary, and they did that. So not a lot of draft capital to go off of, but they hit well in the first and the second round and just sort of hung out and just took that as a win. So I'll give them a A- on it.
We talked to Justin Jones an awful lot, man. One of the younger coaches here, and definitely, a great asset to the community. And then one of our RFL historians, I like to call him, and a member of the Coaches Union. And I'm just gonna say this, man, Mansour Chappelle, if you're out there right now and you're listening, man, you better treat Justin Jones, man, with the utmost respect, man. This guy talked about you all night before the draft. And I'm going to tell you, there was other players on the board, man. Reddy Street, Isaiah Street is out there. There was a lot of players on the board, man. It could have been a steamer, man. And he chose Mansour Chappelle, man. I really liked what I saw of Chappelle at Stanford. Solid player, man. Smart defensive guy. And Jones knew the guy that he wanted, man. You know what I mean? And he defied all the odds, got this guy there. And hey, hidden depth, awesome.
Yes, sir. And the second to last team we're reviewing here, the Toronto Thunderbirds, may have also been tied up with the Bulldogs in terms of the best draft this season, as they got Eric Straughter in the first round, 82 overall cornerback out of Florida State, followed by John Francis, 77 overall left tackle, addressing that offensive line need position out of USC, 75 offensive tackle out of Ohio State in the first round. So that was their first round picks. In the second, they got Dean Staley, wide receiver out of TCU, 71 overall. Then a punter in the third, 73 overall, and Logan Lopez, submitted prospect there. He had another offensive lineman find there in the fourth round with Sean Messina, 68 overall. Then a running back, Solomon Sanders out of Maryland, 63 overall in the sixth. And their final pick was Will Holt, right tackle from Central Michigan, 67 overall. Thoughts on the Toronto Thunderbirds draft?
Oh, they did it again. Taking every team's picks and just moving on up and getting 3 first-rounders and nailing every one of them. Get the 2 best linemen available in the draft. Get the best corner available in the draft. The 4th overall best player in the draft. For a team that really doesn't have much holes, the one hole that I feel that they could potentially have was the offensive line. And, well, they get the 2 best tackles in the draft to fill those spots. So, excellent draft for the Thunderbirds. I'm just waiting for the day for all these teams to stop giving away all their first-round picks to this guy.
Might as well go ahead and cue the Jefferson's moving on up theme. And every time you talk about the Thunderbirds, man, just remarkable, man, how this guy was in he put the mark in remarkable. I just thought about that one. It's awesome. But it's just crazy how this guy was able to just improve this team better than 80% of the other teams who were worse than him. And I can't say enough, man. Guy got better. He was sponsored by the NRC. As Bill just said, you guys got to stop trading with him. And man, I don't know what to say, guys. Good luck. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say, man. Good luck, because this draft was something serious for the Thunderbirds. Just made a team that was a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse for next season. So that's going to be interesting to watch next season, see what those rookies that they acquired do. And finally, for the draft recap,
can I say one more thing, man? This is what I'm tripping about, right? Because I pay attention to everything, the chats and everything, and we saw the Senior Bowl, right? And we saw Trevor Saxton blocking Drew Brewer, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody in the chat was all up in arms and everything. Saxton, and still he becomes a Thunderbird. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Mark was the first person to ask about who that guy was in that chat. You know what I mean? So just to see him have Saxton, it's just crazy.
Well, with the final team to recap for this draft, the Chicago Tigers went and got Jocko Goliath out of Ole Miss with their first round pick, 78 overall middle linebacker. Then they didn't have a pick until the fourth, picking up Vernon Lloyd out of Iowa, 62 overall. In the fifth, they got Roland Bond, defensive tackle from Florida State, 60 overall. Cornerback Stephen Charleston in the fifth, 65 overall. Kicker Grant Anthony out of BYU, 63 overall. And they finished with Khalil Jackson out of Delaware. Cool name, by the way, for a quarterback. 52 overall, though. Thoughts on the Tigers draft?
Had one big pickup, and that was Jocko Goliath at middle linebacker, which I love. New captain of the defense for the future. The rest of the draft was sort of iffy, just not the greatest of pickups, but at the end of the day, they also didn't have a second or third round pick. I don't think so. So you don't expect a lot of high tier guys. They get the one guy that they wanted, and that's it. The one thing that really sucks is I believe the Tigers almost assumed that one of these quarterbacks was going to fall to them, one of the top guy quarterbacks. And when it didn't, they made the trade for Billy Johnson. It just sucks for them missing out on that kind of talent. And you just hope that they have a plan in place now that, Vanderbilt is no longer a Tiger. But they go ahead and get the captain of their defense for the future and maybe get a couple of practice squad guys afterwards.
Yeah, I believe in the coaches can make great players, and I really like what Rollaby Wisenard was able to do with moving backwards for just a moment in the draft, and he lands a quarterback here. As I'm looking at Billy Johnson right now, the quarterback, I wholeheartedly see what he did there. Knowing that he wanted a big quarterback, he DM'd me, man, you took my guy and everything, and I get it, but he did what he had to do. He gets Billy Johnson. Maybe he can turn Billy Johnson around, man. We got to give guys a chance here. This guy's got an amazing arm. And what I like, though, is that he moved back. He got the quarterback that he needed. He desperately needed. And then on top of that, he gets Jocko Goliath, man. And I just thought that was just, a very strategic move. You get a solid player. Does he have a dev, Smitty, Jocko Goliath?
Mm-hmm.
What is his is it hidden or is it what is he? Hidden. Okay, so it's hidden. So like Bill just said, you get that field general guy, on in the draft. You also get a solid 22-year-old, 78 overall quarterback with a 99 throw power, 89 short, 85 medium, 70 deep, and you got a guy you can develop now, man. So hats off to coach for that move there. And I kind of look at it as it is like a 2-for-1 kind of, a 2 for none really, because he just moves backwards basically. So awesome, slick little move right there by coach, man. We'll see what he does later.
Yeah, with Jocko Goliath, only thing I gotta say is he can't keep that number 1. So coach got to change that up. But at the end of the day, a pretty solid pick for them to be, of course, that linebacker of the future for the Chicago Tigers. But that wraps up pretty much what this whole draft was. This whole podcast was about. Just wanted to recap the draft. Knew that was going to be lengthy. That took about 2 hours, a little bit over that. So let me see. I think I had something written down for last remarks to talk about. Oh, yeah, so College Series Commitment Day. If you are, I mean, I know there's probably not guys who are in the Discord right now that are watching right now currently, but if you come back and rewatch this video and you watch to the end, make sure that you get an RFL Discord invite so that you can try to transfer. If you don't contact us to have your player transferred or at least show up to the stream that day, your player will not be transferred. And not only will he not be transferred, is he will have to stay put, and based off of the guys who transfer there that transfer there while you stayed and you are inactive, they will start over your player regardless. But if you stayed and you were already the original starter, then you're good. But if you're one of those guys, contact the website so we can look and make sure that under where you're contacting us that you do have the application, and we'll send you that invite. But that's pretty much it. Make sure you show up for commitment day if you plan on transferring. If you don't want to transfer, then you're good. You don't technically have to show up for that. So I still might have to even rethink that, because I was talking about guys not starting if they don't show up, but they decide to stay there and not show up because they know they're going to be the starter. I'll have to figure out. So I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to stick 100% with what I just said earlier then with that. Last thing I have on here is Relo Bucks, but I forgot about that bill to look into that. Did you look at the list?
No, I didn't look at the list. I can find it. It's just whether or not you want to go over it still or not yet tonight.
Yeah, we'll probably cover that in another stream then. Just to make sure.
Yeah, because there's a lot to explain. There'll probably be a lot of questions. So
yeah, pretty much.
Just know we're gonna have a new system in place, guys. We're gonna have a solid system. Of building off of the idea that Rob brought forth last season. We have something great for you guys to be able to use your time invested in the league to be able to get something back in return and hopefully help make your players better and even win some cool prizes. So make sure you stick up for their podcast so you don't miss out on it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely cover that another day. Forgot to look into that. So what time is it? How much?
Yep.
Would you guys be up to answering a few questions if people want to ask some questions, or?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. I'm gonna jump out, man. I've had a pretty long day, man.
All right. Well,
yep.
Well, we'll see you later, Rob.
Okay, guys. All right. Hey, salute to all you guys, man, who got drafted, and see you guys at College Series, man. Go.
All right. So let's go ahead and see what questions you guys got for. You said, when is the College Series schedule coming? We're not going to have that as College Series schedule until a while, because we still don't have the players created. You're most likely not going to see a schedule until it's close to season time, because we still have to create you guys players, and we still have to figure out how the scheduling is going to work in the mod. So no College Series schedule is going to be out or released anytime soon. Well, technically soon, but you probably won't see it until probably September, the beginning of September, or the end of August.
Jacob, our transfer day is taking over as our podcast next week, so it's same time as the podcast, same everything next week for the transfer day.
Yep.
Predictions for offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year.
Huh.
Well,
I think
offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to just give Marquise or Gino that situation. And even for defense, I could go Drew Brewer or Ray Franklin, possibly even Eric Strotter. I mean, there's a lot of guys still. It's a pretty early to make that kind of prediction.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be either of those guys you mentioned. Even Shaq Tiller might be in there. You never know.
If you had to pick one team that did the worst, excluding the Monarchs and Snowhawks, who is it?
I don't feel like no team really did all too bad though. With what they had, so it's hard for me to be able to give an answer to that. You got anything on that, Bill?
There's a couple of teams that pop up to mind. That's more so just off of moves that I didn't really understand, which I could be wrong for. One of them is the Desperados that comes to mind, but that's because I don't understand the brace pick. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. It's not like I'm ever not wrong. So, but at this point, I'm just a little taken aback by that pick. So maybe I could say the Desperados. Um, Other than that, I mean, and it's really just that first pick. There's a lot of drafts that were just middle of the road. I didn't see anybody that was just completely a horrible situation or horrible drafting. So I don't really even know. I don't want to say the Desperados because I don't think that their draft was horrible. I just don't understand the first round pick.
Mm-hmm. So how much of an impact do you think Jocko will have with the Tigers? Honestly, I don't think he'll have too much of an impact his first year, depending on what you do there, Coach Wisenard, because, you know, Jocko's definitely a stud coming in, but you still do have some really good linebackers there that I don't feel he could probably start over at the moment. You could probably put him on the outside over some guys, but, you know, Antoine Muldrow, he's been a low overall at like 80, 82. And I think that's where he's at now. But he's just still been a beast, and he was a monster this past season. So I think he'll have a pretty decent impact with the time that he gets to be able to make plays.
I don't see much for questions tonight.
All right, then I guess we'll have one more question if asked here before 10:50 hits Eastern time, my time.
How much of an impact is wide receiver?
Probably need a better question than that because, I mean, 58 overall, I don't think he's going to do anything.
Still a coach opening. Yes, there's actually quite a few of them. What are we up to, like 10 spots now?
I think we got eight or 7. Yeah, so
and that's man. Like I know we keep saying that, but there's so many different applications that we got to go through, and I didn't even update the list, man. I think we still have another 5 that I have to add to the waiting list.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of coaches that we have to cipher through to get an application. If you apply now, most likely you won't be able to. I'm not going to say rule it out completely, but you probably won't get an opportunity to get interviewed because once we fill our spots, we're just going to close it down. But I recommend guys who want to try to be a part of the RFL as an offensive and defensive coordinator in the future for when we enroll that to apply, so that if you don't get that position, you can at least be one of those positions as a coordinator in the league. So I just encourage that. But with that, that'll be the last question we'll take tonight. Appreciate you guys coming through as always, showing your support for the RFL. And, man, get ready for Commitment Day on the 29th next Wednesday. And also get ready for the college series. We're planning on seeing what I'm gonna think of doing during pretty much our whole entire off month of August. But we'll be looking to try to bring some content you guys' way, RFL related. But until then, it's your boy Smitty, RFL commissioner and play-by-play commentator, along with Bill and Rob, who left earlier. But of course, as always, appreciate his company. And until next time, see you guys. And we're out. Peace.